Salutations everybody, it is Matty here today with the Fallout 76 news update. Todd Howard is making the rounds internationally, this time with an interview by multiplayer.it, which is an Italian gaming site, and while I took Italian in high school, I certainly had to use Google Translate for this article. It is jam-packed with brand new information. It will be linked in the description down below, so get comfortable, get a drink, get a snack, relax, because we have a lot to go over. Also, allow me to preface that the font in italics is going to be the people asking the questions, while the normal font is Todd Howard answering. Anyway, let's go back to talking about Fallout 76. Imagine that I want to play alone. There will be no specific areas of the map or only PvE dedicated servers, like for example, with World of Warcraft. Todd says, not at launch. When you come into play, you can see the other players, but you will not be forced to interact with them. You can play on your own. You can see them, but you don't have to fight them. Maybe you can use them to exchange items, aka a merchant. You can join up as a team, or you can visit their camp. There are a lot of things you can do with players that is not a comparison with weapons. Once again, this is Google Translate, so a battle. However, one of our long-term plans is to have servers where you can live in your lonely world, you alone, or at the limit where you can invite your friends, or you can apply mods and change the rules at your discretion. All of this is in our projects, but there will not be this at the launch of the game. So, solo play is being focused on for after launch. We have talked about this before. This is just a little bit more details on what exactly they are planning to do with that. They had talked about mods and private servers, but now they're also talking about servers that you can limit to just inviting your friends or completely by yourself with no player interaction, which in that state would have 0 characters whatsoever. It's all very nice, but how will you keep the spawn killer at bay, or maybe groups of people standing outside the vault to keep other players out? How will you try to limit those who want to make the experience of others frustrating? A very important and specific question asked. Todd Howard answers with, there are several tricks we are implementing to prevent the other players from doing the exact things you described. For example, at the moment, you cannot kill a player until he reaches level 5. Maybe we will change this rule, but we are aware of the risks because that stuff does not appeal to us either. But it does not scare us to try new things and leave players the total freedom to fight at their discretion, or to not do so if they are not interested. So I think what they're probably going to do is with the first round of the beta, they are going to say, all right, level 5 cap, you don't fight until you hit there, which personally I am for. I think Bethesda needs to rule out griefing as much as humanly possible right from the get-go, because this is Fallout. There's a different expectation going into this aside from any other game like it. I do like the idea of freedom for the player. To me, level 5 doesn't sound like this hard to reach area, so I imagine that this is not something that'll take a while to get to, where it would be a huge limitation, especially with a map that's 4 times as big as Fallout 4. It would allow the player just to immerse themselves, get involved in the world, get a feeling for what's going on here, because it's a lot to be hit at once, and if you're instantly being challenged right out of the vault to a battle, I don't know, I just don't think that would work out too well. In regards to settlements, can other players destroy or steal something from you? Can you move it? Yes, other players can damage it, but only partially, but it costs very little to repair it. The reason we make it damaged is because it is possible to combine players in the camp. If it cannot break, it becomes a problem. That's why we decided to make camps destructible, not because we want to stimulate others to attack your shelter, but to prevent players from using the camp to annoy other players. It's still very easy to repair, and when you get disconnected, it disappears. So I think when they say damage in that translation, they do mean destructible, like camps are fully destructible. We did see a giant monster come in and absolutely destroy an object during the reveal of Fallout 76. This is very important because actually I was talking with Fighting Cowboy on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he had mentioned how, for example, in Conan, you could post up an entire shelter around a spawn point and just farm people. And while Fallout 76 does have a challenge that must be issued, so therefore it isn't this constant spawn killing and craziness, this is another way to prevent it, where people would build around you and say, hey, you can't leave till you fight me. You can just destroy exactly what they built, which once again, I think is a viable solution from the outside looking in. We'll have to see how it goes over playtesting, but these are the answers I was personally looking for on, okay, you say you have processes in place to prevent griefing. What are those processes? Now it's nice to hear about those, but we'll see them in action eventually. This was one that was actually sent to me quite a bit, so I figured it was worth going over. Will there be fast travel? Yes. And what about vehicles or mounts? No, it's exactly like Fallout. So people always wonder about vehicles because Fallout 2 had a vehicle, the Highwayman. Fallout 76 will just be like any any other Fallout game, you're on foot the whole time. And will there be fast travel? Yes, there will be. I'm not exactly sure how it will work because the answer to that question is just a flat out yes. There's nothing like yes, there will be fast travel stations, or yes, you can bring up your map like in previous Fallout games and in the blink of an eye just disappear and then load in somewhere else. I personally think it's going to go along the lines of a fast travel station. That would make sense. It would also not allow players to try to port out of combat or get to a safe area where they're being chased down by someone else and then port out of combat. I think it's just going to go down to travel stations. How does the quest management system work? Can we expect non-player characters that offer main and secondary missions? There are no NPCs, but only other players. There are robots, terminals, and holotapes, and there are events that appear periodically and can be joined by all the players. There are radio stations. There are all things that you've seen in previous Fallouts, but for us the most interesting part is this replacement of NPCs with other players. It's a much more interesting dynamic in this game. So I was actually recently playing some Fallout just to get gameplay for this very video, and I encountered the RepCon headquarters in my Fallout New Vegas playthrough. And there I was being given a tour by a Mr. Handybot, and I was exploring, I was reading all the terminals, getting all the information on what exactly was going on here, and it gave me a feeling on exactly how maybe exploration can be in Fallout 76. We can also look at the Stealing Independence questline from Fallout 3, another unique interaction that came solely from robots. Granted, the quest was given by a human, but you get the point that I think the main focal point was this identity of a said bot that you had met. With that said, I think both these moments are enhanced because it's a world with diversified characters. There are humans to meet, there are creatures to meet, there are robots to meet. We're now in Fallout 76, we're going in with the knowledge strictly of, okay, there's only going to be robots here that I can speak to or I can interact with in a certain way outside of normal players. And I just wanted to show those as experiences that could positively impact Fallout storytelling, but when it's that only way of storytelling and when there's no characters to diversify that, we'll see just how well it pans out with the final product. We are constantly talking about Battle Royale in this period, and I think the PvP of Fallout 76 with its survival drift is well married with the genre. Are you thinking about it? Dear God, his answer is, we'll see. Look, at the moment, our only thought is to make sure that the game works perfectly. Then we will adjust according to what people ask, and we will make some attempts. At the moment, however, we want the basic game, the main one, to run at its best. I'm glad the focal point is to get the base game functioning, but holy crap, he said we will see about a Battle Royale mode. I cannot stress it enough how much I don't want a Battle Royale mode to touch Fallout. Going multiplayer is a big step. It's like, this is all moving too fast for me. Let's slow down, okay? I want to see if I even like multiplayer Fallout. The idea of it going into a Battle Royale scares the shit out of me. Now, for some beta details. Can you tell me something more about the beta? I know you cannot talk about the release date, but what kind of content can we expect? Once again, a very important but specific question. I think it will be released in several stages, and our hope is that the main beta is the full game. So who plays it can bring in his own character. There will be no classic pre-release cancellation of the game. We don't know yet. We don't want to reset the servers, but we'll see. Our hope is that it is the complete game. So seeing that the beta is going to be in several stages convinces me that this thing is starting sooner rather than later. Because if they're doing multiple stages and they want one of them to be the full game, which I imagine will be a month or a couple of weeks before launch, and they really need to get to testing. And I mean, the date 7/6 is coming up and it's on a Friday, which is a weekend. I mean, hey, that's a perfect weekend to start it off, right? On a serious note though, I do hope that the beta progression carries into the final game when they do that complete game beta. Doing the beta in separate stages does show a testament to trying to get the base game right, just like he had only said moments ago about how the focus right now is the main game, getting that working, getting that functioning. So I'm glad that's where the studio's focus currently is. Was this interview reassuring? To an extent, yes. We got some answers on certain specifics, but on the other hand, that Battle Royale thing has me pretty shaken up, so I want to hear your thoughts on all of this in the comments down below. Do fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content we create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.